Hello and welcome to the last part of the Ekko Jungle Duo tier list. This is of course going to be the support tier list, and overall I want to just say I think support is probably the role you should be looking to duo with if you want to have like the best kind of duo experience, because supports can often really impact your jungle gameplay, right? They can roam to heralds, they can just generally, a lot of them are like engagers and whatever, so yeah, I think of course solo laners can always be good to do with, but I think support, especially with the current power level and how it often is, the support role and the jungle role, they go well together, I would say. So yeah, if you have any good support friends, then be sure to hit them up, play with them, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So Alistair, I think Alistair overall, probably it's just good, you know. Of course, I can already say, like, engaged champions in general, they will be better than Enchantress with Ekko, because Ekko loves having CC on his team. He loves not being the one that has to engage, but rather being the one that can clean up and whatever. So Alistair, he just doesn't have the biggest range, but he provides a lot of disengage as well. So that's why he's not like great or whatever. I think he's just good, you know. But he has some CC, and that's pretty nice. Now a Mumu. I'm thinking like, I love playing with him, I really do. I think he might actually be 2v8 here. Just like the amount of CC he provides is just amazing for Ekko, you know? Like it really is. And then you can even, like, with how much CC he alone provides, it's so easy to layer your W on top of it. So, you know, super easy champ to gank as well. I don't know about Amamu support's current power level. I feel like we never see him. But overall, I think just the champion, like I remember when we played some like Clash games or whatever, and we always used to pick a Momo support, and when I played Ekko with that, it felt really, really good. So yeah, I wish I would see it more in solo queue probably. I would say generally also good, you know, like it's not an enchanter or anything, and her E is nice, the movement speed can be really helpful for you, and she has some CC, right? She has some point to click CC as well, so it's definitely good. There, but she's not like a tank, so she doesn't feel that kind of role for you. You know, like tanky champs, they just take more spells for you, of course, which just makes playing the game easier. Bard, I think Bard neutral. I mean, he can be good, but like Bards, I don't know, so many Bard players, they're just not. I don't know, there's just no synergy going on. But yeah, of course, it's a champ that has CC, that has. But the CC is just much less guaranteed, you know, than for a champ like any, so I'll have to put him below. But very similar, right? He also has some movement speed in his kit. His E can be really helpful, but it's just like a general thing. There's no real synergy there. So, you know, I think just putting him in neutral is pretty fair. I think Belvav support is actually pretty solid pick overall. So I'm gonna put her into good as well. She has nice CC, or like she has like a lot of range for, with her dashes. She can really engage people in bot lane when they just won't really expect it, I guess. And that's also probably a reason why she works. But I don't know. I think she's a very decent support pick, honestly. Kind of underrated. I guess, of course, she's just much more fun to play as a jungler and like be really strong, but she has her value as a support for sure. Blitzcrank, I think great. You know, like, I don't know, good Blitzcranks, they don't rely on their hooks. They just play with their, like, they actually use their cooldowns and whatever. They just flash on people and then knock them up and then hook them. So, like, it's pretty guaranteed CC with that. And, yeah, like, a good Blitzcrank is gonna be great to play with. It's just not quite as much CC as MMO would provide, but, yeah, it's, like, definitely nice. Braum, I think Braum is also great, honestly. Like, he has very different CC, but, I don't know, in general, just having like good Broms, they will apply their stacks to all of the targets and then make them stunnable, and I think that's just, like, it feels so good to play with, I don't know. I love playing with Braum in general, not even just with Ekko, just in general. I think it's a super, super nice champ. So yeah, I would love to see more of him. But I think at the moment he's actually played quite a bit. I don't know if I should rate, like, I mean, Camille support, not really. I don't think I've seen it in a long time. I'm not sure about Cho'Gath support. Do we ever see that? I guess I will put him into neutral. Just much less guaranteed CC than a lot of the other champs here, and of course support also not like his best role, right? Like, I'm sure he provides some amount of value there, but I don't know. I've never really seen him. Maybe I shouldn't even rate it. Alright. I could rate Diana support as well. I mean, I used to be like a real hipster when it came to support picks and love to try out stuff like Diana, Ekko, or like Kale. I mean, Diana, right? She has her engagement, whatever, but I don't think I'm gonna rate her here. Really never seen it. At least, I mean, I've also seen it a long time ago, but let's just stick to more conventional support picks. I mean, Fiddlesticks, honestly, I think Fiddlesticks is a pick that I have seen. Like, there are one tricks on whatever they play support, so I would say probably neutral. Like, he's very heavy AP. That makes him kind of like he would love to be solo AP even as a support. I think he would rather be kind of not like actually I don't know what they build if they actually go for damage, but yeah, I don't think he loves playing with too many AP champs in his team even as a support. So he has this nice point to click CC and whatever. So I think in that sense he is neutral, but yeah, overall there's definitely better champs to play with. I remember like Galio support I've also not seen ever, like in years probably, but there used to be a time where he was a support, so I think, you know, maybe one day it might come back, so I'm gonna rate him. Definitely good, you know, like possibly even great. Like he has just super good CC, and that's always nice. I think I might even put him into great, honestly. It's just like these champs that, yeah, they just make the game so much easier to play, and at the same time they also provide so much CC and whatever. I think it's like playing with them, it feels great, you know, it really does. As long as they're not super behind and useless, like when they die too easily, then they're obviously not great to play with, but that's not something we can really consider in a tier list like this. Gragas. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he has engaged, but I think he's more towards neutral as well. Kind of similar to Cho'Gath, honestly, in what they provide. So I think it's fair to just put him here. Who's next? Did I miss anyone? Not really, right? Yeah. Ivan support. I mean, I'm pretty sure Ivan can be played as support, right? So probably good, honestly. Like the W is not like his W and your W as Ekko. They have some synergy, right? Like being able to place your W from out of vision more easily and like from more positions is definitely a value that you don't often think about, but it's for sure there, right? And of course the shields are nice, the Q is nice, so like he has a lot of CC that he provides. Could even be great, but honestly I've just not played with it, so I'm not comfortable putting him into anything higher than good. But I imagine it's pretty good. Now Janna is like the first enchanter on the list. Of course, as I said, enchanters overall, they will be rated lower. Some higher than others. I think Janna is at least, a good Janna will at least roam a lot and stuff, and she has some CC and whatever, but she's a disengaged champion. You don't want to disengage as Ekko, so it's like between neutral and bad. Like, when it comes to enchanters, are there worse enchanters than Janna? I mean, maybe. I might move her around. I think for now I'll put her into bad. I don't know. It's just not what you want, you know? You don't want someone to disengage. You want someone to either engage or like at least be neutral. But yeah. Darwin. I mean, Darwin is also a champ we don't see too much on support, but there have been metas where he's pretty viable. I think probably just good, you know? It really kind of depends on what he builds as well. Like, I think most of them, that they even in the recent times went for something like Zhonya's and whatever. Really just trying to buy a lot of time for their team. And of course, there is good synergy, so he might even be great. But I think overall, I would just put him into good. I mean, that's also considering his overall power level as a support. I'm actually gonna put him to great. Like, there is a lot of synergy as well, right? He has really nice engage. His ult can be followed up with your W. So, yeah, in that sense, I think it might actually be great. And then if he goes for, like, a heavy AD build even, then, I don't know, like, I feel like he provides, like, a good balance to the team as well. Then, of course, like, the support role shouldn't be the one providing that, but it could, you know. Karma. No, I think Karma is a little bit better than Janna. At least she has like the W, which can often be really helpful, and then she has her shields, of course, which can just give you movement speed. And overall, like, Karma is just like a champ, and even her Q slow can be really helpful for you, you know? So I think she's definitely a little bit better than Janna, but she's still an enchanter, so it's not what Ekko loves playing with. Okay, Santa support a thing? No, right? LB, I mean, I could rate... I feel like most of these mages you could put as support. I think that's why I'm not gonna rate them. Like, I might rate Lissandra or whatever because I feel like I've seen that somewhat often compared to LB, but yeah, I think most of these enchanters I will just ignore for this tier list, otherwise it's gonna be very similar to the mid lane one. So I guess Leona is the next one. Leona, it's like her range and whatever is just not that high, so I think she's just good. There's definitely better engaged supporters that you can play with, but of course she provides a ton of CC and whatever. You're never unhappy to have a Leona on your team, definitely not. So yeah, but there are definitely champs you would rather play with than her, even though she's a nice engaged and tanky champ. So I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna rate Lissandra. I think she's good as a support. Like in mid and whatever, I think I rated her even as 2v8 or great, but for support, I think she's just good. She provides her CC and whatever. It's really nice, and she has a lot of range. Maybe she's even great, but I don't know. Overall, Lissandra's support is of course just not as good as mid lane, so I will rate her lower because of that. Lulu. Honestly, like in the current meta, it's like I have to put some in dodge. Like I think Lulu has been pretty bad for a long time now, and I mean I don't want to consider that too much, but overall there's also no real synergy. Like the CC she provides is not anything that locks people down in their place, and then yeah, sure, like being able to get ulted and whatever is nice, but there's even some kind of anti-synergy there because oftentimes she might ult you when you're low HP, and that's when you would ult out anyway. So there can be situations where you ult out right as she ults you. So there's like that's like an actual anti-synergy. So I think of course I don't think you should really dodge, but like I just named this tier dodge for fun. It's not as horrible, but it's definitely not something I'm happy to see, honestly, having a Lulu in my team. Also, like, you need to think about, like, the kind of team comps where Lulu really fits in are just not ones where Ekko fits in, you know? Like, there comes with maybe, let's say, Kog'Maw, Twitch, or, like, these kind of champs that would rather just play with tankier champions in their team and, like, mages. So they play, like, front to back, whatever, and they really just can't assist Ekko, you know? He needs other champs that can go in with him, and Lulu is just not one of them. So, yeah. Lux. I think Lux, pretty neutral. She has some CC, she has some, like, nice damage at least, so, yeah. It's a solid champ to play with. Definitely better than these kind of enchanters, so... Malphite, probably... I mean, it's, like, super guaranteed CC. So, in that sense, he's definitely not bad. Might even put him into good, you know, because of just the general synergy. I think I'm gonna put him into good, but of course, Malphite's support is not really like his role. He has to go for some AP builds usually there, so he's kind of squishy. He doesn't even provide his normal tankiness that he would. So yeah, and then of course as Ekko, you're also not super happy to have another big AP champ in your team. So I think that's also why like these champs like Lissandra and whatever, they might be really nice in mid lane. But as support, like you don't want to take up another spot with AP, as because like mid lane is quite likely to be AP, and then sometimes even top lane. So having your support pick champs that make the enemies buy more MR is just not what you want to see most of the time as Ekko. Malzahar support I have really not seen ever, or like not ever, but like I think he can be played support, you know. So yeah, I think I'm actually gonna rate these guys lower because of what I just said with the MR. But yeah, they're neutral. I think they provide their like really nice CC. I think Lissandra's a little bit better, and like Annie as well. They have some more utility. Other like these two champs, they really are just like old bots for you basically, and they do that well. You can follow it up really well. But overall, as I said, you just are not super happy to have too much AP in your team. Maokai. I think Maokai, at least, he has more CC as well, so in that sense, he's just a little bit better. And he's honestly a solid supporter. I think he also provides his utility with his ease and whatever, so, like, his vision utility. So, yeah. Milio, fuck that champ. Like, I don't know, man. Milio is, like, the exact opposite of what you want as Ekko in your team. Literally just a full-on disengaged champion, and sure, man, he can save you every once in a while with his ult or whatever, but, like, that's really... yeah, very Lulu-like, honestly. It's just not what you want. It doesn't help you in any way as Ekko. You don't care about the attack range. Sure, man, like the shields and whatever, they're neutrally good, of course, but there's no synergy with Ekko, so yeah, definitely belongs in the lowest tier here. Now, Nami, when it comes to enchanters, I think Nami is honestly probably the best one. or at least one of the best ones. Like the E is really nice to play with. It really is as Ekko. So I think I'm gonna put her into good. Probably the only enchanter to make it here. I mean, if we don't count any. And of course she has some CC. Like it's very unreliable CC, but it is like in her kit. And if she does hit her ult and her Q and like can kind of layer that, then you can of course also get your W in there. It's just harder to plan with than with a lot of other champs. But yeah, it's definitely like just the E alone makes this pick definitely solid. Nasus support, I guess I'm gonna rate because I mean like LS is a very big fan of it, I guess. So it must be somewhat okay. I'm not sure how good it is with Ekko though. I'm gonna put it into bad, honestly. Like this row is looking kind of empty, and I think Nasus doesn't have any real synergy with Ekko. Like sure, the W is nice. His W will definitely help you hit your W because it slows people down so much, but there's just champs you're definitely much happier to play with than Nasus. Nautilus. Classic hook champ, of course. I think like if Nautilus players had brains, like Nautilus players are like the little brothers of Blitzcrank players. Like the champ is much easier to play, and that's why so many of them are so bad at the game. And they just don't understand that you don't need to engage with your hook. Like you have your ult, it's literally point to click, and then you follow up with your hook. Oftentimes you can even just like auto attack, maybe flash auto attack with your like to root people and then hook them. But, like so many idiot Nautilus players, they will just miss their hook and then well, there's just something missing from their kit. But like generally, it can definitely be great, like for sure. Right, you know exactly where people are gonna get knocked up and whatever, and then if the Nautilus hooks or like good Nautilus players, if they were like better on average, then yeah, like. I'm not even gonna say if because I put it into grade. I don't think it's quite 2v8 here. I think MMO CC is just a notch above it, but like it's definitely great overall. Yeah, just a small rant about the general skill level of Nautilus players, I guess. Yeah, Nidalee, like these kind of champs, I don't think I've seen them played in support. Not really. Nunu, like no, I think any Nunu support is just running it down. Genuinely, so Ornn, I don't think Ornn support is really a thing. I mean, I guess I can rate him. I have seen it somewhat recently. I think it wasn't great, but you know, Ori also I'm not gonna rate. Like as I said, you can put all of these enchanters in mid, or like these mages in from mid into support somewhat, but yeah. So Ornn, I think just bad. I don't know. I mean, he has some CC and whatever, but like he just doesn't belong in the support role because of the fact that he doesn't get his levels for the items, so that's just a big part of him missing. And of course his range is also like it's level 6 is nice, of course, but I don't know. Maybe it's neutral, honestly. Like, I put a lot of these champs into neutral, so he's very much like an ult bot, honestly, for you as well as a supporter. So it's fine, I guess. He has some value. Pantheon. I think good, you know, he doesn't have the range and the CC is not very long and he just doesn't belong in the support position as much as he does in top. Like in top I think I rated him quite highly, but yeah, I think for support he's just good. You're not unhappy to have this like point to click CC and whatever, but he will usually have to flash, you know, because especially on bot lane he gets outranged. Like on top lane he doesn't have to, like he has a much easier time landing his stuns, but on bot lane he usually will play against ranged champs and then they just won't walk up as much, so he really can often just engage with his flash, and that just makes his like value he provides a little bit lower, you know, and like less consistent. But at least he has like his AD and whatever, so you're kind of happy about that. Poppy, I guess I mean we don't see Poppy support too much, but I think whenever you see it, it's actually pretty solid. I think I would just put it into good as well. It does provide nice value. Or she does provide nice value, and she has CC. She can really hard counter certain champs with her W, of course, so if you pick her in the right spot, she can be very strong. And overall, like, I don't know, I think Poppy's also a champ that's really good at roaming around the map, and you'll definitely like that as a jungler. Pyke, man, honestly, I think a good Pyke, genuinely 2v8 tier, just because he's like very heavy AD, then of course you like having extra gold on your team, just in general. And then like a really good Pyke that they will play around your abilities really well. Like I've had Pykes hook people into my W and whatever. It's very nice. And then of course his E, like if you have some amount of like knowledge of how Pyke works, you can really plan around his abilities quite well, right? Like he will hook people above him, and then he will E over, and then you just place your W there, and like it's just so easy to get kills with that champ, you know, because of his ult and stuff. So yeah, I think like I'll have to put some champs into here and into the 2v8 tier, and I think Pyke is actually one of them. So if you have like and he's like a carry support as well, so it really makes sense, you know. It's like genuinely 2v8. If you have like a really good friend, like a really good Pyke player as one of your friends, I think you should hit them up. There's definitely, and he's also good at roaming around the map and stuff, right? Like making things happen. He can be so helpful. So yeah. Also, I think Pyke at the moment is actually quite strong. Rakan, between good and great. I think like Rakan is just not the easiest support to play, but I think a good Rakan can actually be great. Like, they really can. Of course, he's also AP, but like I mean, most of these supports are AP, like Nautilus, Blitzwing as well, so that's not really a problem. And then his CC is kind of easy to follow up as well. He has his charm, and then if he does like the full charm duration and then his W in the last second, you can basically always place your W on top of it. So yeah, I think very easy to follow up, and then of course his like shields and whatever he provides in his Q is kind of nice. Definitely is. Who's next? Rel. Yeah, I think Rel also just great. Like insane CC to follow up with, and just like really nice champ. The movement speed as well. Of course, she was just kind of broken. She's been nerfed a bunch, so. But still, I think overall pretty great champ to play with, honestly. Yeah. Renata. I think kind of bad. It's like it's not quite dodge angle because she has some CC and whatever. It can be nice, but and her ult can of course just be a game changer on its own. It's just overall, I don't know. There's this anti-synergy as well, of course, with her W. I think it's her W, right, with a revive. So like playing around it, like it's just a lot to think about, and it's like a mind game you're playing with your Renata player, you know, like is she gonna W me or do I need to ult? And then often you just might not have like the vision in your fights to see if she's even in range and whatever, or if she's even gonna use it on you. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of bad. I don't know. There's definitely champs you would rather play with than Renata. So Rumble, I think Rumble's super underrated support pick. Like that champ is just so disgustingly broken. In support, he's like very much like a Lux or whatever. He has way less CC, of course, but yeah, it's just a really broken champ in general. And supports, like I don't know, it's a support that doesn't have mana and whatever. He can just perma poke. So like I don't know. He's of course heavy AP. He does provide the MR shred, which is kind of solid for Ekko, I would say, but. Yeah, overall, of course, he doesn't have any real CC and whatever. It's definitely bad. But he's not quite dodge angle because he has some value, and I think he's just overall kind of underrated. I don't know. Yeah, like having more damage on your team is also not a bad thing for Ekko. You know, like Ekko likes when people are low because of his W passive. So when your team can do more of that, the game also gets easier. But of course, stuff like being able to tank more stuff for you makes the game more easier than simply dealing damage. So yeah, it's definitely not great or anything. But again, I don't think quite dodge angle because at least he has the MR shred and stuff. Sejuani support. I think Sejuani super underplayed as well as support. I feel like she could be played support super easily. Like the reason for that is just she doesn't need items, you know? Like she really just provides so much with her kit, so she doesn't really care. Like she will get her mythic and that's fine. So I think honestly, Sejuani is probably great. A lot of CC, then of course Sejuani likes playing with melee champs. Maybe that's the reason why she's not really played support, because most supports are not melee. But imagine like with a Yasuo, I think Yasuo Sejuani, I feel like there's potential there honestly with that bot lane. It sounds actually quite disgusting to play against because Yasuo of course counters so many ADCs, and then when they have so much CC as well in their lane, and then of course Sejuani can even knock up with her Q. Maybe like just throwing it out there, guys. No, I think overall, really nice to gank Sejuani, so probably great. But I never see it, but I imagine it's actually pretty great. Set, I think with Set is like, I mean, first of all, he's also much more of a top laner. And then he has some CC, but like usually, like he will genuinely have to flash like 99% of the time to even get it. So I think because of that, he's just neutral. Like it's basically like an ult bot, but for him it's more like a flash E bot. So it's like he can only do that every 5 minutes, or depending on what runes he takes a bit more often. But it's really Yeah, like he has some CC, but it's also not his role. Shaco, would say neutral. Like Shaco is kind of a weird champ, you know. Like their playstyle is always so different on support, especially. So it's kind of hard to rate, honestly. Like some of them make sure their lane is really ungankable. Other ones really like hard bully their lanes and yeah, just try to hard win it. So it's kind of difficult to rank. Overall, like a good shaker can maybe make the lane kind of gankable, but yeah, as I said, kind of difficult. I'm gonna just put it into neutral. Can be bad, can maybe be good even, but yeah, I think neutral is just a fair rating here. Shen support. It's kind of similar to Zed in a way where he often might have to flash, you know. At least he has his ult as well, which can definitely be really helpful, but yeah, he just doesn't have the range with his engage, so just gonna put him into neutral. And like depending on the team comp, of course he might provide value with his W and whatever as well, but that's not something we can really rate here. Science support, I mean Baus whipped it out like in a game with Showmaker and whatever and like actually popped off, so yeah, I'm gonna rate it. Singed, I don't know if I will rate Singed support. I guess Singed neutral as well, right? He can flip people and whatever, but it's just not really his role. And Cyan, I mean, probably just neutral as well. Like, he has some engagement, whatever, but yeah, I don't know. It's just no range there with his CC either, so... And unless you're Baus, they're probably just like not gonna do too much either on their support, so... Or as their support, so... Yeah, Skarner, I don't think I will rate, I've genuinely never seen it. Even though it's like a CC champion, so I feel like they always could be, but it's the same with Mages Red. So I think I'm just not gonna rate him as a support here. Sona though, she has her ult at least. She has movement speed, so I think in that way she's at least kind of neutral. But nah, actually I don't like playing with Sona. I'm not gonna put her quite into dodge tier, but one thing I really don't like is just that she's like one of those Kassadin Kale like champions that just take way too long to come online. And as Ekko, you don't like that. You like to be able to get your snowballing going, and Sona really doesn't help. But that, like, if anything, you can gank her after level 6 usually, and yeah, it's just no real synergy there. So it's almost dodge tier, honestly. Like the only reason I'm not gonna put her into dodge tier is because she has her ult, and that's like something she can provide for you. But if she wouldn't have her ult, then she would actually be dodge tier, just because of the way her lane plays out. Silas, I think Silas actually good. Like, yes, he's AP and whatever, but he has a lot of CC, especially if he goes for Everfrost, and then his engage range is surprisingly high, you know, with his E. And people don't respect it, especially bot laners. And then also he's very similar to Ekko support, and where he just has so much early damage. I don't know, people like, especially bot laners, they just can't respect it. And yeah, and in general, I think playing Ekko and Silas together, they definitely have some synergy going on. So, yeah, actually probably pretty good. Don't see it too often, but like, Silas support is a somewhat unconventional pick, but there are some mains for sure. So, and like in Master and whatever. Tom, probably neutral. Like, I don't know, his ult is also kind of an anti-synergy with you, of course, with your ulting. Because he might ult you a lot when you're low HP. Like, he probably just shouldn't even ult you ever, the Ekko, right? He probably should just use it for the ADC and whatever, so... It's not a huge problem, but yeah, I think overall, he has some CC and whatever, but I don't know, it's just no real synergy. Like, you would much rather have some hook champion or whatever on your team. Taric. I think Taric's actually kind of good. Like, he can E and then you can reposition with your E, of course, and make it kind of difficult for the enemies to dodge. So in that way, he has some nice synergy. And then, of course, also, like, Taric is a champ that provides very different utility, very similar to Soraka, right? Where you just become so tanky and so difficult to kill. So, like, more than with champs like Janna or Sona or whatever. Like, his like tankiness that he provides for you is definitely pretty nice. And then, of course, the ult. But yeah, so I think the big thing, of course, is just the E. I think your E and his E, the synergy there is definitely kind of nice, or can be kind of nice. So, you know. Thresh. I think good, you know, like a good Thresh can definitely make the game much easier to play. Again, a lot of Thresh players, they're just not the brightest. They just like don't understand that they can walk up to people, E them, and then hit their hook. They just miss their hooks. like especially in lower elos, like in Master and whatever. I know a lot of them are aware of this concept, but yeah, especially lower elo thresh, they often don't use that correctly. But one thing that's also nice is this W, of course. Like oftentimes you can you can place your W from long range and then just take the lantern, and then you can much better reposition with your like E and whatever. You don't have to use it to get into the range. So that kind of utility it provides for you is definitely really nice as well. And then of course he has a bunch of CC, which is always appreciated. Trundle. Not seen him in a long time, but there was definitely a time where Trundle support was a thing, so probably neutral. He has no real CC, of course, but yeah, he's just kind of similar to these champions, right? Like he has this like non-hard CC, but it can be helpful. But it's just there's definitely champs you would much rather see in your team. Who's next? Never really seen like Vex. Maybe like Vex and Zoe are like these two most likely enchanters. I feel like you could see support. Yeah, is Vex one? Like I remember that I played Vex when she came out on support, and it felt pretty decent, honestly. So yeah, I think I'm gonna rate it. Probably neutral though. She has some nice CC and whatever, but yeah, she's a mage. So again, she's basically just an ult, but she will ult in fear people and whatever, and then yeah, it's whatever. It's not the greatest synergy with Ekko, but you can play with it for sure. Volibear support, I don't think I've ever seen that. Yuumi, yeah, no need to talk about it. Doesn't even provide her CC anymore with the ult. Like, Yuumi is so bad. Like, I hate playing with Yuumi. Also, ever since, like, she can't even go on you anymore when you're doing well and the ADC sucks. Like, I mean, she can, but it takes her, like, ages to stack it up. So it's just... yeah, it's just not amazing. The stuff she provides, like, it doesn't help Ekko as much anymore as it used to. So, yeah, I think Yuumi really bad. No gank setup at all, so... I hate playing with that champ nowadays. Like, she used to be... genuinely, before she was nerfed, I would have put her into great. Probably. Or at least good, maybe even great, like, depending on how strong. Because if she actually decides to play with you... like, of course, if you are duo with a Yuumi and she... will go on you as Ekko, like, you were unstoppable back in the day, you know? But, like, nowadays, I don't know, she just... ever since they removed the hard CC from her ult, she's just... yeah, and, like, the big healing and whatever, it's just, yeah, it's just not really a champ anymore. Like, she might come back, but at the moment, she's definitely dodged here, so I'm just gonna put her there. Like, we can't really make predictions on how they're gonna change her kit in the future. Zac... probably good. Like, he at least has really big range with his engage, right? So that makes him quite good. And overall, I think also just pretty underrated support pick. He has some nice CC. He has like 3 CC spells, basically. Of course, they're not the easiest to combo with your W, but I don't know, just be... of course, like, sometimes you don't even need your W to CC people to kill them, right? And if a champion like Zac provides so much CC on his own that people just can't get away from you, then you don't really care if you hit your W or not. You might just want to get the shield from it. Zillion. Yeah, kind of bad, you know. There's this, again, this anti-synergy with the ults. It's like, it's probably the worst with Zillion than with any of these other champs. It's so difficult. Like, honestly, with the Zillion, if you have a Zillion in your team, you should probably just ask him, like, how you want to play it, or, like, actually tell them to never ult you. Because, like, I've had this situation too many times where, of course, like, Zillions will ult you as late as possible, and the same is, like, often true with your ult, so... it's just so difficult to play with that together. So, like, you probably should really ask them if they, like, want to ult you even or whatever. And then also, I mean, he does have his E, which is nice. Like, movement speed is always appreciated as Ekko, but yeah. Like, so in that sense, he's kind of similar to Karma. And of course, he has his, like, Qs, so if he hits a nice double bump and whatever. But, like, the double bump, for example, is basically impossible to follow up because it's so hard to predict when they're gonna hit it, you know? So, like, I don't feel like I've ever hit a nice W after my Zillion hit a double bump, because, like, after he hits it and then you place it, it's just too short of a stun. But yeah, overall, like, it's not the worst champ. I could maybe put him into neutral, but just because of the ult anti-synergy, I'm gonna put him into bad. So yeah, I think Zoe I will rate, probably neutral. Like, she has her nice, like, a good Zoe will probably get people low enough in lane that they are also kind of easy to gank, and then she has her E, of course, so... yeah, like, I think there's definitely I've never played with Zoe support, but I imagine it's actually not even that bad. Like, I would probably rather have a Zoe than a Zyra. Who is next? I think Zyra pretty bad. Like, I don't know. Zyra CC is also kind of unreliable. It's like kind of hard to follow. Not really, actually, but it's, I don't know. My personal experience probably influences this quite a lot, so I'm actually gonna put her into neutral as well. Like, one thing, of course, that you really don't like with all of these champs, just that they're another, as I've talked about, another AP spot that is taken up in your team, which you're not super happy about as Ekko, and then these champs also will make it much more likely for the enemies to buy MR boots, at least these two. Like, Zyra's is actually not even that great. Like, the E is kind of easy to dodge, so most people won't buy MR boots against that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just no real synergy there. But at least she has some CC. And like, if she hits her E and then ult, you can actually place your W and you should be able to hit it. But it's just not what happens in my experience oftentimes, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't think any of these champs were played support. TF, is it TF support a thing? Not really, right? Syndra support, like, again, I could put her there, but I don't think I will. Ashe, I guess, is the next one. Bad. Like, not quite dodge. She has her ult, she has her like random E utility, which can actually be nice as a jungler, you know. Help when like good Ashe supports, they will really help you track the jungler. So you just something that they will take away from you, like some brain power. But yeah, I don't know. It's like maybe if it was a stronger pick, she could be like neutral. Actually, I'm gonna put her into neutral. Like, she has some nice utility. It's probably just, again, my own emotions influencing this judgment a little bit. My recent experiences with Ashe supports, like, they've just not been amazing. But I imagine it could be pretty neutral. It's basically just an ult bot, like a lot of these champs in this neutral tier. Twitch support, I guess I could rate. It's definitely a champ we've seen played support in the past. Pretty bad. Like, honestly, I don't know. It's like a cheesy champ, you know? Like, yeah, sure, a good Twitch support might roam around the map a lot and help you in that sense, but of course they will also go AP again, another thing you don't really like, and then there's 0 CC, of course, 0 tankiness that he provides, so only damage. And if the Twitch support sucks, then he will just go 0-9 and lose you the game, you know? So in that sense, definitely not a champ you're happy to play with as Ekko. I mean, Kalista support I think we've seen, but I'm not gonna rate it because I've never played with it either, and I don't think it's like a real support pick. I mean, I guess it is, because it was actually played in a pro game, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, I don't know. I've really just, I have no experience with it, so I can't really rate. Senna. I mean, Senna, at least her W is kind of easy to follow up with, because you have like this time to react, right? You know where people are gonna walk, and then it takes some time to proc. So deciding between good and neutral. At least she's also heavy AD. She scaled really nice. I think, yeah, surprisingly good because of her Q slow as well. You know, like, it makes it so you can definitely catch up to people much more easily and stuff. So I think actually, if I had looked at this before, like, I'm just comparing to a lot of these other champs, I think she's actually good. Like, there are definitely champs you would rather play with, but she does provide her value, and for the kind of, she's kind of a marksman, right? So for that, she provides a lot, actually, with her Q slow, with her W. And then just in general, being a hyper-scaling champ can definitely help in some games. Am I gonna rate Ahri support? I mean, she has some nice CC and whatever, but I feel like I've seen it once, maybe. I would say just, like, neutral. Maybe even good, technically, but probably just because of Ahri's support not being amazing, I'm just gonna put her into good. She's very similar to, like, a Lux, you know? More offensive, she doesn't have, of course, the W shield that Lux has, but she has, like, her E, and then with the ults, yeah, she can definitely have her E be kind of reliable. So, yeah, it's definitely not bad. Morgana. Definitely good. Like, not great. I don't know. Maybe if Morgana was, like, stronger. I feel like I've not seen Morgana enough, but, like, I mean, it could be great, honestly. I think I'm gonna put her into great, just because of the black shield, of course, you know, it can be amazing for you as Ekko, so... And then her CCs are super long, so you can easily follow it up with your W as well. It's just, I don't know. Of course, she takes up a like more heavy AP spot. Like if you have Morgana on your team, you can bet that most of the enemies that can buy mercs will do it, just because of that champ alone. But it's not a big deal, you know. For the CC she provides, it's definitely worthwhile. And then again, the black shield is actually pretty nice, or it can be. It's just that often they won't use it on you, I guess. So. Beggar support, I mean, I've not really seen it. Probably just neutral, right? He takes up an AP spot, but he has his cage, which is kind of nice for you to follow up with your W. So, yeah, just neutral. Nico. Yeah, probably neutral as well. Like, again, very similar to a lot of these other champs. Like, I think she's more viable in support, actually, but than some of these champs in the neutral tier, but I don't know. She's of course also quite heavy AP, and then yeah, I don't know. She has some nice CC though. It's kind of difficult to rate for me because I've also not played with it. I imagine a good Nico support can actually run the map with a passive quite well. So yeah, kind of hard to rate for me, but I imagine it's pretty neutral. There's definitely champs you're happier to play with, let's say. And Nivea I'm actually gonna rate because I'm pretty sure there was like a solid, or actually MF I guess is also a champ that has been played in the past. Pretty bad though. Fuck it, like actually dodged here though. No hard CC, and like if anything, it used to be a counter to when Zyra was like really meta, right? To kill the plants with your E, but I don't know. Nowadays, if you have one, it's like all she provides is her E slow, and then I don't know, no tankiness, squishy, like basically a champ that if I play against an MF support as Ekko, I'm just super happy because I know that I will be able to farm her, you know. So. Yeah, it's probably dodged here. Okay, as I said, Anivia next. Yeah, like towards the higher end of neutral, I would say. She has some nice CC, and like a good Anivia might even be good, but you can't really rate on that, of course. So I'm just gonna put her into neutral again, taking up an AP spot. But she has some nice CC, and in that sense, it's definitely not horrible to play with her. Okay, coming towards the end here, Seraphine. Seraphine is definitely like a better Sona. More CC in her kit, much more offensive. Honestly, could even be good. Like, I'm thinking, could even be good. I think I'm actually gonna put her into good. Like, she has a lot of stuff going for her. Like, with her Qs, she will get people low enough in lane that they're like kind of gank, like a good Seraphine. Of course, they will get people low enough in their lane that it helps with ganking there. Then of course the E's, right, there's like a lot of CC, and then her ult can be really amazing for you, and then the W is helpful, right, the movement speed. So like every ability in her kit is actually kind of good for an enchanter. It's definitely one of the ones you're more happy to play with than a lot of the others. Xerath, I guess neutral, you know, is very similar to most of these majors are kind of neutral. And I don't need to repeat myself, right? AP, yeah, some CC in his kit, not super reliable. At least Xerath can maybe keep people lower easier than some other champs because of his range, but still, I think he doesn't belong any higher than that. Cassio, I don't think is a champ that's being played on support. Talia, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not even gonna say, right? Same thing. Vel'Koz. I think Vel'Koz's actually a little bit lower. I don't know, his CC is lower cool. Like, you can never really follow up on the knock-up of Vel'Koz, you know. And I don't know, Vel'Koz is just not a champ that fits theme-wise with Ekko. It's like he wants to stand back and like fight slow fights and whatever. And again, he's just Xerath, but just a little bit worse, in my opinion. And also much more skilled, so it's like, yeah, the chance of you having a bad Vel'Koz is much higher. Brand, bad as well. I don't know. Like, I can't put all of these champs into neutral and Brand lower, but like, I don't know. Brand just sucks as a champ. I recently played an ARAM where I played Brand, and it was like the most horrible experience of my life. Literally, I was in this ARAM for like 30 minutes, and yeah, I just wanted to go next IRL. that shit was so unenjoyable. This champ is just... Either he's like really broken damage-wise, or he's just not, and at the moment he's just not, and then he is basically just absolutely horrible. So if like I'm gonna rate just like kit wise, of course he has some CC and whatever, so he's just like the same champ as all of these mages basically. He's more common on support, but that doesn't make him any better with Ekko, honestly. So yeah, and just the overall strength of Brent, not amazing at the moment. Soraka. Pretty neutral, you know, like she doesn't have any hard CC, like okay, her E whatever, but it's nothing you can rely on at all. And then her healing is of course always, like it can always be nice, but oftentimes, like I don't know, in my experience, oftentimes I feel like I don't even have a Soraka on my team when I play with that champ. I don't know why, but yeah, definitely worse champs to play with, but yeah, like I think she's better than Sona, for example. Like her healing is just more impactful. You know, I know I just said like you often don't feel it, but you definitely feel it more than the Sona heals most of the time. So like, if she actually uses it on you, so like a good Soraka can definitely be nice to play with. But again, that just is a big requirement. Like a lot of these champs, for example, let's say a Nautilus, like they can also be bad and they can still be kind of nice to play with. You know. So yeah. I guess Swain is like Karthus and Swain are definitely champs that are played in support every now and then. Karthus probably dodged here though. Again, like Karthus is like a champ that really loves to be solo AP, and then he has 0 CC. Yes, he's like W, has DMR shredding, so like sure there's some value there, and it slows of course, but yeah, I don't know, it's not great. Like you don't want a Karthus supporting your team as Ekko. Swain, kind of bad, you know. Like, okay, I need to put him into new. I feel obligated to put him here because he's very similar in what he provides. Just like one CC spell that's not super reliable, and then it takes up an AP spot, and basically just belongs in a solo lane. Teemo, am I gonna rate Teemo support? I mean, I've not really seen it ever, but probably just dodge. Like, no CC, right? AP doesn't belong there. So, yeah. I mean, you can already tell, right? Like, I just reset these rows, so these lower champs are just champs that Ekko hates playing with in general. So yeah, Heimer support, same as all. I think Heimer is like on every roll just in the dodge tier. Like, fuck that champ. I don't know. It's really not great. Like, yes, Heimer has one CC spell, of course, but it's so unreliable. And I don't know, like, Heimer in general is a champ that wants to be left alone. And then Kale, okay, I'm not even gonna rate Kale support. Like, I'm a fan, I like Kale support, honestly, but I think most people don't really see the value there. So, yeah, this is the support jungle, like Ekko jungle duo tier list. As I said, if you have a nice Amumu or a nice Pyke in your friend list, hit them up, play with them. Especially Pyke. Like, I think Pyke is like, he's just so good at roaming around the map, making plays happen on all lanes and whatever. I think a good Pyke can be a real joy to play with his Ekko, so yeah. And then all of these champs, they're just generally nice engaged champs. Like, these are like the best engaged champs, like, except for Morgana, I guess, but she has like different stuff that she provides that can be really nice. So yeah, let me know what you think about this tier list. Do you agree with it? Was it helpful? And yeah, as I said, this was the last part, of course. I did a video on all of the roles now. So yeah, I hope this helped some of you find like good duos. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and have a nice day. Bye.